And if you'd like to give us a call on get involved with our conversation here, please call 827-8900 or 855-790-8255 if you're out of the area. And also send us a text at 775-557-5120. And we're sitting here with Assemblyman Jim Wheeler. I am yours truly, Senator Don Gustafson. And we had Lynn Seamus also with us today with Sierra Sage Publication, and former Washoe County Chairman Tom Tabor. And we also have Teresa Catalani, a regular panelist. So we've been having an interesting discussion so far this morning, but we're going to change gears right now and talk about incidents that have been going on down southern Nevada and at the Bundy Ranch. And we have a caller on line right now who is Michelle Fiore, who is apparently at the Bundy Ranch during part of this. And I think Teresa was also down there.
Yes, my name is Teresa. We went down there, but we were very lucky to meet up with Assemblywoman Michelle Fiore, and we did, we were able to get a personal tour of their home, the Bundy home, and not just the protest area. But Michelle has been working very closely with the Bundys in this case, and so I'm just going to open up the mic to her, and she can tell us what she saw transpire.
Good morning, Michelle.
Hi guys, thanks for having me on your show.
Good morning, lady.
Good morning, good morning. I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to say it 10 times. What took place on Saturday morning was a government at gunpoint, period. There's no way to slice and dice that besides government at gunpoint. We have our federal government coming into our state of Nevada with guns drawn on the American people. That is not acceptable. At the request of BLM, which their roundup practices have to come to a screeching halt. So that is what we are looking at. The Bundy family is one of many families that have received and felt the wrath of the BLM and their agenda. And it is not okay to be governance at gunpoint. You have to think about this. It was literally about grazing fees and a bill unpaid. Generally, they would go and clean a house, or there are so many options for the government to come after you for an unpaid bill without guns, and that is not what took place. So because of the incompetent, disgusting behavior of the BLM, that's where we are today.
Michelle, this is Jim Wheeler. I'm going to jump in here for a second. One of the things I love to do on this show is play devil's advocate, so I'm going to give you a couple questions here. Now, I think everyone knows that that Mr. Bundy has some culpability in this. He didn't pay his grazing fees even though he thinks he shouldn't have. He did say that he would not allow the BLM to round up his cattle, etc. What are your thoughts on that, and what do you think actually happened out there? Because the government, their side of the story is that they wanted the cattle for the grazing fees. We all know that that's ridiculous because they could have put lien on the cattle, and when Mr. Bundy sold them, could have gotten those fees. Or B, they were going to protect the desert tortoise. Now, this one I really like because protecting the desert tortoise, those cows have been there for 130 years living with the desert tortoise, and the government's been out killing thousands of desert tortoises because they're overpopulated. But anyway, Michelle, I'm getting offline here. But what do you think is Mr. Bundy's culpability in this?
That's a really, we're in discovery on that, and the reason why I say we're in discovery on that is there's a lot of people that are working behind the scenes on this case and to see where we're at. The grazing rights, someone has sent me documentation that has been sold, and I cannot confirm if this is correct documentation from 1998 with the Clark County. So who does he really owe the money to? And like you said, you said it perfectly. There's no doubt that if it was grazing fees, they could have definitely put a lien on the cattle. So definitely not grazing fees, definitely not tortoises, because as you did mention, the BLM has euthanized many tortoises. The last number that I saw was between 700 and 800 tortoises that they euthanized because they said they didn't have the funds to keep it up, because when the economy took a tank, their funding stopped. So it was easier for them to euthanize the turtles instead of giving these turtles to schools, and they'll come up with, because they've been in captivity, now they have viruses. I mean, they'll come up with any excuse, and it's really not acceptable. The animal cruelty that the BLM management agency has displayed between slaughtering the Bundy cows, and let me tell you, yesterday I posted a photo of one of the cows that they shot in the back of the head from above, so obviously it was a helicopter shot. There's another cow
Or a very tall person.
that they have, they just shot up like a ton of bullets in this one cow that the BLM might define as a fun kill, and they just left the cow out there dead with a ton of bullet holes in it. And these images will be produced and public, because this is really how we're going to stop the BLM from their graphic roundup.
Okay, Michelle, one of our audience members has made her way up to the microphone. Ma'am, could you tell us your name?
Yes, first off, I'd like to tell Teresa, thank you. I listened to you and I was very excited. I just had to be here. Thank you for this time. I heard one of the earlier audiences say the Constitution, to bring it up. In the Constitution, Article 6, Clause 2 states treaties. Treaties are supreme law of the land. Well, what I wanted to make a statement about is the United States government owes us money, 564 federal recognized tribes. Does that mean we can go shoot up Washington? I mean, they're shooting cows,
That's a very
so
good
can we
question.
shoot Washington, you know?
And for,
And our
obviously, we're
buffaloes.
on radio here, and this lady, ma'am, again, could you state your name for us?
My name is Joanne Spotted Bear. My Indian name is Matogleshkawi. I am a Tetuan Lakota Sioux from Wounded Knee. I am a descendant of the Little Bighorn, the Wounded Knee Massacre, 1890. 1890. My grandfathers fought in the World War I, World War II. 1973, my father was a cop in Pine Ridge and walked off his job and gave his gun back to the government and didn't kill none of the federal agents at that time.
Well,
Wow, this is Assemblywoman Michelle Fiore. I have to really thank you for being on the show and sharing your heritage with us. And I'm just going to put this out there, you guys. I'm just going to say it once. If you ever want to know or question anything about illegal immigration, please talk to an Indian.
that's true. Tom?
Michelle, there's Tom Tabor. I was wondering,
Tom.
there was talk about free speech zones, and I'm beginning to wonder about our country. I thought that from sea to signing sea and from border to border, we were a free speech zone. What was going on down
Say
there?
what the federal government wants to hear.
Yes. What was going on down there with these free speech zones?
Total incompetence. There's not a word to describe it. I mean, you talked about offensive, but I have no word for the incompetence of the BLM. Besides, I don't even have to have words for them. They've displayed it. They literally put a little fenced-off area in the middle of the desert, away from the protest area, away from everything, and said, "Hey, if you guys want to go yell at the sky, go there." I mean, I'm speechless.
Michelle, this is Len Seamus chiming in here. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. There is a lot of discussion and perhaps some speculation surrounding the involvement of Senator Harry Reid in this issue. The well-known solar energy project, $5 billion project that his son Rory is shepherding for the Chinese. I heard some discussion on Michael Savage's program yesterday about precious rare metals in the area. There were at one time, I'm told, 54 ranchers. All of them have been forced out of business with this one exception. Clearly, this looks like an effort to advance a personal agenda. Have you got any thoughts or information regarding Reid's involvement in this thing? Because to me, this whole thing stinks.
Yeah, well, my thoughts in this is clearly there's a different agenda besides grazing fees, because we've accomplished that. I mean,
Or
even when I was
turtles.
on, Yeah, or turtles, because even when I was on, and it's really, I love, all of the technology we have, because every word and everything is recorded. And I was on What's Your Point on News 3 last week with Jeff and Amy Tarkanian, and Jeff had said, well, he owes $1 million. And I said, did you see the bill? Because I don't think he owes $1 million. I think the government inflates penalties and interest, and I'm sure he doesn't owe $1 million. Then that same show, What's Your Point, 2 days later with Roy Reed, and it's right there, you can click on it. Jeff changes his tune from $1 million to a couple $100,000. So you're going to tell me that the Bureau of Land Management authorizes an open checkbook to spend more than $10 million to go and collect a couple of thousand for grazing fees? Yeah, no. So definitely it stinks. Definitely there's a big agenda on that Golden View property. I personally viewed the 86-page document that the Bureau of Land Management has put out with their plans. And the maps that they have shown where they want their equipment and all of their products from that solar plant is on proportions of the area where those cows graze. So it wasn't about grazing fees, in my opinion. It wasn't about an unpaid bill, because the government don't come in with guns to shoot you for an unpaid bill. So it definitely
Michelle,
was about
I've
getting
got to
those cows
interrupt you
off.
here for a second, because we're going to go away for a break here. We're up against a hard break, and I hope you'll stay on the telephone. And our audience member lady's made her way back up to the microphone. We'll hear from her right after the break as well. And we'll